Happy Valentine's Day. This is Mary Kopczynski, the CEO of RegAlytics, with your update on this week's 21,910 regulatory alerts. The regulator of the week is the Connecticut Attorney General William Tong. As you all know, I look at these alerts every day, and there's just no way to predict what's going to catch my eye. If there was, GPT would have been writing these scripts years ago. But this week, I noticed that his department released the third annual report on the Connecticut Data Privacy Act. I don't know why I clicked it. I don't know why I read the whole thing. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I found it interesting that the Connecticut Data Privacy Act was finalized in 2022, and it had an effective date of May of 2023. And then the AG started producing these reports, and at the onset, these reports talked mostly about cure letters, which was basically where the AG would approach a company about their disclosures or whatever and say, hey, fix it. But the first real settlement was not until July of 2025, and it was for $85,000. Since then, there's been a handful more, like 8. But the numbers are going up slowly but surely, and right now, the most recent ones are closer to $200,000 in fines. Anyway, I just thought this was an interesting micro study of one state, and my gut is this is a trend that's going to continue to go up for many states because it is a nice way to make money for all the shortfalls happening at the federal level. So once I got on that thread, the next one that caught my eye was the FTC, who sent 13 letters to data brokers warning them of their responsibility to comply with the Protecting Americans' Data from Foreign Adversaries Act of 2024, PADFA. PADFA stops data brokers from sending PII to foreign adversaries like North Korea, China, Russia, Iran, or any entity controlled by those countries. So I read that template letter, and it basically says, yoo-hoo, this law passed. You're saying things like, we have information on U.S. government and military staff, and we want to confirm you're complying with this rule. So don't think that the states are the only enforcers. There are still federal agencies at work fighting the good fight, which leads to the topic of the week, woke stuff. I don't know. Woke is a weaponized term that basically calls out the left for overdoing it in relation to the climate or being sensitive to diversity and inclusion. And obviously, since this new administration, these concepts have been a bit under attack. However, there were a couple of alerts where, for practical reasons, all of this effort is still happening. So for example, the International Swaps and Derivatives Association, ISDA, has published a paper on climate risk scenario analysis for the trading book, which supports banks in understanding financial risks associated with climate change. I don't know how to say this, but the derivatives trading book people are some of the smartest financial minds in the world. All they do is try to hedge financial risk. So the fact that their main organization is putting out this kind of information means that the smartest financial minds in the world are working to hedge the financial ramifications of climate risk. And finally, the London Stock Exchange celebrated Standard Chartered's $1 billion inaugural green bond. So one more time, one of the largest stock exchanges in the world listing for a financial institution a $1 billion bond, which is nothing to snuff your nose at, where the bond is support environmental and climate-friendly projects. But even more amazing, there was such strong investor interest because the order book exceeded $3.9 billion, which means there is a lot of demand for this financial instrument. And as one of my all-time favorite law professors said, follow the money and you will see what's going to happen. Follow the money. And that's it this week for RegAlytics. We have the global supply chain of the world's regulatory alerts in one very easy to use place. If you need a solution for anything related to regulation, give us a call.